Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Sure the Tea Tuesdays, and it is your girl V. And I have a special guest with me today. Her name is Miss Farah Mayberry. She is the owner of For the Village. Did I get that right?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah,
Yes.
founder. Yeah.
Thank you. And so I want to say thank you for joining me on my podcast with Share the Tea Tuesdays. I did have the opportunity of meeting you at a community baby shower. I think that was back in September, October, sometime. I can't even remember. And I was just
September.
September. Okay, so your memory's better than mine. But I was just blown away about hearing your business, and so I wanted to give you this opportunity to share this with I don't want to say customers, but with my people, and let them know about For the Village. And so, where did For the Village come from? How did that vision start?
Yeah. So, a little bit about me, which will kind of segue well into why For the Village exists. I am a health professional. I graduated as an occupational therapist from Howard University in 2003, and loved working as an OT in lots of different settings. One of my favorite settings was in the NICU with medically complex babies. And my husband and I, we both love children. We have 5 kids. And when we had our fifth kiddo, I was trying to stay home with him for as long as I could afford to. And I left the hospital and started doing lactation work. I started off with just facilitating a couple of breastfeeding support groups, and then became a lactation counselor and started seeing clients privately. And I realized that when it comes to lactation, we are really not doing a great job of educating our families before they give birth, which can be very overwhelming postpartum. So
Hmm.
I was just doing the best that I could to help implement a sense of confidence. And I decided to become a doula because initially I thought, oh, as a doula, I can establish a relationship with couples during pregnancy. We can cover breastfeeding just to kind of help with postpartum. Well, as a doula, I realized that lactation wasn't the only thing that was lacking. Anything related to childbirth really was lacking in terms of normalizing what normal birth looks like. So, as a doula, um, uh, it wasn't just about breastfeeding, it was about instilling a sense of confidence and knowledge for couples who are expecting, particularly in the country that we live in, where we're pretty aggressive when it comes to medical interventions, period, but particularly when it comes to birth. So during that time and during that season, I was exposed to statistics that have to do with our population. So we know
Wow.
that in America, Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die because of pregnancy or postpartum related causes. And we know that Black babies are 2 to 3 times more likely to die because before they reach their first birthday. Those rates are recognized by all types of national entities, CDC and American Academy of Pediatrics, American College of Obstetrics and Gynecologists. Vice President Kamala Harris spoke on it as well. So these are statistics that we know are true.
Hmm.
And just kind of based on research as a health professional, based on research knowing what some interventions are that help to impact infant and maternal mortality, I kind of just came up with an algorithm, not that I made up, but just applying research. We know that breastfeeding helps to reduce infant mortality. We know that childbirth education is really the minimum that's necessary to help couples to feel more educated about what's going on when they give birth. I always like to
Right.
tell them you don't want to find out what forceps are for the first time when you're in labor. We know that doulas help to decrease the likelihood of having medical interventions during labor, including surgical interventions during labor. So, research shows us that having a doula can be so incredibly impactful for the birthing person, but also for that birthing person's partner. We also know that trust is a big deal when it comes to healthcare providers and their clients. So one of the unfortunate statistics that that I come across is the one that says that Black babies die less frequently when their pediatricians are also Black. And same goes for the
Mm.
NICU. In the NICU, so the neonatal intensive care unit, when the specialist doctor in those environments neonatologists, when Black neonatologists are taking care of Black babies, the rate of infant mortality is less for those Black babies. So using
Wow.
all of that research together, For the Village came to fruition. So For the Village is a 501c3 nonprofit. I'm the founder and executive director. And what we do is every year we have an open application period where we invite women. We're looking for Black women because, again, of what research tells us. And we interview them and we choose 5 women who, in the new year, we orient them and then we train them extensively. We train them in multiple different areas. We train them to become trained and certified as lactation counselors, as childbirth educators, and as birth doulas. And then we partner them with Black families in the community, and we provide compensation to those birth workers for their services. Like I said, each year we take on 5 birth workers, and they become a part of a cohort, they stay with us for a period of 3 years. So we
Oh, wow.
just opened as a nonprofit in 2020. So we currently have 2 cohorts. We have our
Okay.
2021 cohort, they're in their second year. And then we have our 2022 cohort, they're actually just in the middle of training. And so that's what our program is about. So by next year, we will be managing the maximum number of birth workers we plan to have, because we'll have an entering cohort. We'll have 15 birth workers, birth workers with an entering group, one in their second year, and one graduating out. And it's been a really powerful experience. The birth workers have formed essentially a Black birth collective, learning a lot. Uh, this is not easy work. In order the people who are called to do this type of work are those who are exposing themselves to statistics that are
Right.
pretty dire. But a lot of times that anger helps to fuel their passion to do their part. And so that's what we're about.
So I have several questions. Now, you mentioned that
Yeah.
word a couple of times, and you said, let me make sure I have it right. Bula? Did I say that right?
Oh, a doula with a D.
Dula. Okay, okay, spell
Yes,
that for
ma'am.
me. Let me write it down so I can get it right.
Yeah. So D as in David, Oula.
Okay,
Yeah.
doula. Okay. Now,
Yes.
what
Yeah.
exactly is a doula?
Yeah.
What
Yes.
does
So
that mean?
yeah, a doula. Yeah, usually actually when I have my PowerPoint, I usually define it because I never know. Sometimes people are hearing that term for the first time, or sometimes they're familiar with it, but they're not sure. So a doula is a woman who is trained to provide physical, emotional, and educational support to a birthing person. That normally starts during pregnancy. Ideally, that starts during pregnancy, but certainly
Okay.
while she's in labor, she is able to provide her with support, different physical types of uh, measures that help to alleviate discomfort. And her role is a pretty impactful one. We live in a country that's very medical, so it's very much
Right.
like the doctor tells me what to do, and I do it.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to childbirth, we don't really place focus on encouraging moms to know what's normal, for her to trust her body, for her to be able to use her intuition. We kind of treat everything like it's already an emergency. And I feel like it does a lot of us a disservice. It keeps a lot of us as women from being in tune and in touch with our bodies. If
Okay.
you've never attended something like even a breastfeeding education class, you might be blown away to see what a woman's body is designed to do. And so I feel like I feel like there's a lot that we're missing by not normalizing things like breastfeeding and childbirth and what's normal about all of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I have another question added on to the word doula. Now,
Yes.
this is not is there a difference between doula and what they call a midwife? I mean, I know they used to
Yeah.
call that back in the day, but are
Yeah.
they similar or are they totally different?
They are different, and that's a very
Okay.
common kind of like correlation and question mark. A doula is not a clinical provider, so she is providing the education and she is being hands-on in terms of helping to alleviate pain, but she is
Okay.
not taking vitals on that client. She's not checking that client's cervix. She is not catching the baby. A doula is working with a client who more than likely has a midwife or an obstetrician. A
Okay.
midwife is a health professional and she has studied how to essentially catch babies. She sees her clients at the same frequency that an obstetrician would. She sends her clients to do the same lab work more than likely. And so a midwife is sort of like if you don't have an obstetrician, a midwife is synonymous to an obstetrician and here in Oklahoma for an out of hospital birth experience.
Hmm. Okay. Well, I
Yeah.
definitely learned something new right there. I appreciate you taking the time to explain it, and I'm quite sure I'm not the only person that didn't know the difference between those two terms. And that's wonderful that you're able to educate us about what's going on because it's something. I mean, we need to know this. And like you mentioned earlier, this world is pretty much focused on medications, but they don't focus on the other aspect of things. So now, when did For the Village start? What year was? Did you say 2020 or was it?
2020 was we formally became a 501(c)(3). I had been talking about
Okay,
it since 2018 and just doing fundraising and just putting it out there.
okay,
But, the board was put together and paperwork was turned in, and officially we were recognized as a nonprofit in December of 2020.
okay, and that's wonderful. Right in the middle of the pandemic of
Yep. Yeah, we
everything.
were very productive during COVID.
Yes, yes. So your goal, because you mentioned earlier, every year you have you have your applications open. So do
Mhm.
applications open at the end of the year, or how is that? When do applications
Yeah.
open?
So applications normally open in September, and it's
September.
usually open for a couple of months. Dates haven't been released for 2022, but it's normally something like September 1st to about mid-November. At somewhere in there, we normally also have an open house so that individuals who are thinking of applying, they could know more about our program.
Right.
So we try to host that open house during the application period because that can tip people towards yes or no, whether or not they feel like it's a good fit for them. And
Mm-hmm.
those who are applying, they do not have to have any experience as birth workers. Our first cohort that we took of the five, three of them were already doulas, and they were willing to go through an entire new training as doulas because the training that we use is it's based on one that was created by uh, Uzazi Village. Uzazi Village is a nonprofit located in Kansas City, and
Okay.
they train doulas. They are a community doula-based organization with a passion for birth workers. So our training is through them.
Okay.
And again, our first cohort had multiple doulas entering the program. Our second cohort, we had 11 people apply, and only one of them was a doula. So that was very different. I thought it was really interesting how things shifted. But yeah,
Okay.
it's been a neat process so far.
Now let me back up a couple steps. You said the village in Kansas. Spell that name for me
Yeah.
again.
So it's called Uzazi Village. It's Uzazi
Okay,
Village.
Uzazi. Okay, and I'm
Yeah.
quite sure Uzazi stands for something, right? I'm quite sure it
Yeah,
means.
I'm positive it means something. I don't know the
Okay,
meaning though. Yeah.
okay, I
Uh,
love that.
yeah,
So
it's
the application process, is it free to the applicants, or is there a fee for it?
no, it's a free application process, and those who
Okay.
make it into the program, they really do get a pretty tremendous opportunity. I will say that it is a lot of work, but I like to tell my birth work that I that I believe in the most. And so if I expect a lot from
Mm-hmm.
you, it probably means that I believe in you a lot. So the birth workers, before they get to the point of providing services to families and being compensated, they have to go through extensive training, and that training is not paid. And so the training is a minimum of 64 hours, and then they have additional hours that they do as lactation professionals, unless they're coming into the program a certain degree of lactation experience and credentials.
Okay.
But all of that of training also puts them in a position of bonding with their co-birth workers.
Okay. So is your goal, since you have five, well, you take five per year, is your goal to continue to build that database to where you have like a large amount in due time? Is that
Yeah,
the focus there?
yeah.
Okay.
So our goal is to increase the number of Black birth workers who are experienced and credentialed, so that a Black health, as a Black parent, if you
Right.
used to have a Black doula or Black lactation professional, it's not difficult for you to find.
For
And
you to
also,
find.
our goal is also to make our services accessible to the Black community. So each birth worker is partnered with 4 families per year to provide services. We also encourage our birth workers to a desire to develop their own private businesses. And so we talk about
Oh
that. We
wow.
talk about marketing, and we talk about how to do that, because we are providing them with some pretty marketable skills. And we want
Right.
them to use them not just for our nonprofit, but to develop their own businesses. And especially since they're with us for 3 years, but
Hmm.
within those 3 years, we hope that they're developing their own business and coming to us for some support, so that by the end of the 3 years, they're ready to fly.
Oh wow. Oh wow. I love that. I love that. Now, so do you have services for expecting mothers? So if someone is currently pregnant, are they able to reach out to for the village? And what are the? I know they're hope to connect with a doula, but what other services do you provide, or what should they look forward to when they
Yeah.
reach out to for the village?
Yeah. So we have our family connections program, which is essentially when a family that's pregnant is looking for one of our doulas, then we look to partner them with a doula. And our goal is for them to provide all three services to that expecting family: doula, childbirth education, and lactation. But we are
Okay.
also working on a community organization connections program, where we partner with different community organizations to provide quarterly services. So I'm kind of wanting to finalize before naming names with some of the community. We've got some really great community organization that provide services to couples during pregnancy. We want the opportunity for our birth workers to be able to go in there and teach classes quarterly, whether that class is a childbirth education class or a breastfeeding class. So a pregnant person, just to kind of answer your question, would have options, whether she was part of our family connections program where she's receiving three services from a birth worker, or
Hmm.
if she is part of one of our affiliate organizations and sort of indirectly or directly getting services from our birth workers from some of those community classes that we plan to partner them with. Yeah, we
Wow.
also have, I mean, we have opportunities for individuals to volunteer, to sponsor. We currently do not have a brick and mortar. The goal is to sort of budget that in next year. As a nonprofit, as a nonprofit who, again, our birth workers do not pay for their training, so we pay for their training. The families receiving services do not pay for the services, so we compensate the birth workers to serve the families. So everything that all the money needs to come from money that we raise through
Right.
fundraisers and through private donors and grants and things like that. So individuals have opportunities to donate, to sponsor if they want to sponsor space or sponsor food or sponsor something. We've got
Okay.
lots of opportunities for that.
So do you have a fundraiser going on right now, or one that's
So
coming up?
right now, yeah, we have a very ambitious goal of raising $52,000
Okay.
by the end of May. So by May 31st. We had a private event here recently, and we're just kind of following up with that. Basically, a $2,000 helps to pay for training one birth worker. This year, we're looking to train 6 birth workers. We ended up taking an extra one in this year. Serving one family, all 3 services, childbirth education, lactation, and doula, costs us $1,000. This year, we're looking to serve 40 families. So we are
Wow.
reaching out
40.
to the community, asking for them to, wanting actually to give you the opportunity to help us make a difference, because the disparities that exist, they're not okay. When we're
Mm-hmm.
thinking about moms, Black moms dying 3 to 4 more frequently, and Black babies dying 2 to 3 times more frequently in a state that is mostly white. Like when you hear those statistics, it may seem like, well, somebody has to have the highest rates. But when you're thinking about a state that's over 70% white and less than 14% Black, for the Black individuals to be dying 3 to 4 times more, those are statistics that deserve a very specific type of attention.
Right.
And so, supporting causes like ours just gives the supporter an opportunity to be intentional, to do something more than just say, wow, that's really sad, but to really
Mm-hmm.
to be a villager and contribute in some way.
Okay. Okay, nice. So we have a fundraiser, $52,000 by the end of this month for
52.
May.
Yes.
Oh, and so if
Yes.
anyone wants to make a donation, where do
Mhm.
they go to make a
Yeah.
donation?
They have different options.
Okay.
The easiest way is probably to just go to our website, which is www.forthevillageinc.org. So forthevillageinc.org.
Okay.
Emails can be sent to us. Our email is forthevillage 2020 at gmail.com. So forthevillage2020 at gmail.com. And those are probably the easiest ways. And they can always mail us a check as well if they want to do that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Now I know I purchased a shirt from you when I was at the community baby shower. So do you sell those shirts as well, or are those only for special occasions?
So yeah, when
That's a big question,
we
huh?
have events, yeah, sorry, we have a table. We have our t-shirts there for sale. Um, Shipping and distribution and things like that for the t-shirts, and hopefully at some point we will be. And we don't have any in-person events on the books just yet. Our next one will be, we just came out of Black Maternal Health Week in April, and so we'll be doing some things in August for Black Breastfeeding Week and just for International Breastfeeding Month. Um, but if somebody does want a T-shirt, they can send us an email. We just don't have we don't currently have a formal or a website for t-shirts to be
Oh, okay.
mailed out. But if they're local, then we're more than happy to meet somebody and deliver a t-shirt.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Now you're on social media. Are you
Yeah, I
on
should have
all of
worn or at
social
least
media?
brought
Or
my
which?
t-shirt. I don't have it with me.
I know. I should have worn mine too, but I didn't think about it until now. So are you on social media,
We
and
are
which ones
on
are you?
we're on Facebook. So Facebook for the Village 2020 is our handle, and we're also on Instagram. And same thing, for the Village 2020 is how you would
Okay.
find us.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. So what would be for expecting mothers? Because this May is Mother's Day, and it's coming
Yeah.
up, and so we have expecting mothers that are this may be their first time being a mom, or it may be their second. What would be something encouraging that you would say to them?
Man, I'm so
Let me
sorry.
stop.
It broke up during what
You're
I
okay.
think was the most important part of what you were saying.
Oh, I was saying that with Mother's Day, May is Mother's Day, and everyone celebrates Mother's Day. And so, for upcoming moms or women that are currently probably having their second child or however many, what would be something encouraging that you would say to those mothers? What would you say to the coming upcoming
Yeah.
mothers?
Oh gosh, I would love the opportunity to tell expecting moms that they deserve to feel empowered during their
Mm.
pregnancy and during their birth. And in order to do that, I would encourage them to find a team that listens to them and that supports them and makes them feel safe and makes them feel heard. And that if they're not sure how to do that, there are individuals who are trained to help them to birth team. And I would also say
Oh,
congratulations.
and congratulations. Yes. I love that. I mean, 'cause it's always important to make sure that we're empowering women in general, especially our Black women. And I know that it can be difficult when you're expecting a baby and you're not for sure what to do, or even just trying to find resources. And so I applaud you for creating For the Village. And because for one, I love the color scheme, and then also the image of For the Village, because to me, I was always taught when I was younger by my mom and my grandmother that it takes a village to raise a child. And
Yeah.
so when I saw that, that's instantly what came to my mind is that, even though I'm not related to you and you don't know me personally, but I am invested in making sure that you have a successful pregnancy. And so that's what I took from just seeing your logo and talking to you that day. And I applaud you for using this nonprofit and your vision and the statistics to benefit the Black community, because we do need these resources. And I don't know about anyone else, but those numbers that she mentioned, those are alarming. Those
Yeah.
are, I mean, that is really alarming. And I mean, we can talk all day about the disparities of healthcare, and how Black women are treated when they're in the process of just going through their regular exams, and, the whole checkups through pregnancy, and then let alone time for delivery. So I think it's really important for you to have, let me say the right name, doula. I'm working on that. I think it's really important to
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
a doula in your during your term, so that way you kind of know what to do. You know what to do,
Yeah.
and know how to go from there. So one last question, because I know I can talk. When someone joins your, like the mothers, when they receive all three services, um,
Hmm.
and once the child is born,
Hmm.
do they have to stop attending your services, or do they have like a cutoff, like when the child turns two, or
Yeah, that's a good question.
okay,
Our birth worker will work with the mom for usually their relationship formally kind of wraps up when the baby is about 3 weeks old. So our birth workers will be visiting with that postpartum mom a couple of times, usually within the first 5 to 6 days, and then again within the first 2 to 3 weeks. But what happens a lot when a couple has a doula is
hmm,
that doula becomes a very kind of has a special place in that mom's because she was there
right,
birth, she was there before their birth, she came after their birth. So it's typically
hmm,
not just like a cold turkey. It was good, see you later, have a good life. But it's not uncommon for moms to, text pictures, for moms to, if they get pregnant again, request the same doula,
okay,
just because of again the quality that that doula brings to that couple's birth experience.
wow, okay. Well, that's some really good information, and that's good to know that it's not just, you know, thank you, like you said, but it's also building that
Yeah,
relationship. That makes a difference. That's just for me, that really makes a difference. So
yeah.
I do thank you, Miss Farah, for taking the
You're
time to come
welcome.
on Share the Tea Tuesdays and
Yeah.
just sharing your phenomenal nonprofit organization for the village. If you guys missed her information, she is on Facebook and Instagram, and it's for the village 2020. And then you can also Google her, and it will pop up her website. So if you want to send donations or even volunteer, because she mentioned that earlier, that if you just want to volunteer your time and efforts, you can definitely reach out to them and go from there. So right now, since I know I have one last question that just popped in my
Yeah.
head.
Go for
Sorry,
it.
one more. Okay, so I know May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and you had
Hmm.
mentioned about postpartum. Do you find that in the Black community that postpartum is something that is prevalent, that happens frequently?
Gosh, I feel like in the Black community, and speaking specifically of Black women, our stress level, our baseline stress level, is
Mhm.
already higher than most. And
Right.
so I feel like my best response to that would be, I think that we experience depression more than we even realize. But
Mm.
because of the weight that we're carrying, we mask it, we not even intentionally, but we call it something different. And so postpartum wise, it's not uncommon for a woman to have to go back to work after 6 weeks and all, and for her to just carry that load and to not have the space or even not have a team to talk to her about the type of self-care that she needs so that she can be at her best for herself and for her loved ones. So that is definitely one area that when we're training the birth workers, we put emphasis on. It's just what is the reality of the typical Black woman? How some of us, when we hear, "Ooh, you're a strong Black woman," although it
Mhm.
may sound like a compliment, sometimes it feels like what others are saying is that's what you're supposed to be, as strong all the time. There's no room for you to cry or to ask for help or anything like that. So I feel like the narrative that we use keeps us from being able to diagnose things that are really problematic. And so that's going to take some time.
Oh my goodness. This is my clapping, because I don't have a clapping device, but that, oh my goodness, that was a
Wow.
mouthful. I know the young people call it gems now, or however they say, but I applaud you for speaking on that, because that happens a lot more than we realize, and it's really good to
Yeah.
have for the village organization to be able to talk to um, mothers about that and making sure that we're getting the help that we need. So, okay,
Yeah,
I won't ask any more questions.
that's fine
But
either.
I do want to say thank you. Thank you again so much. I appreciate you taking the time. I know we've been talking back and forth for a minute, but I was just, I said, I'm so determined. I have to get her on, on Strategy
Thank you. I
Tuesday.
appreciate that.
Thank you so much. And if you guys have any other questions, make sure you reach out to For the Village 2020 and follow her on social media. Support, support, support. Even if you know someone that is recently pregnant and maybe they really don't know what to do, still reach out to Ms. Mayberry and take the time to educate yourself and your family about what we need to do so we can reduce this rate of infertility and have a healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby. So thank you again for coming, and thank you
Thanks
guys
for
for
having
following
me.
Share the Tea Tuesdays. Until next week, stay blessed and stay safe. Thank you.
Thanks.